Great to have Robbie Henshaw back.
Yeah, it is great to have him back. There's a few of them back. Ty Furlong trained today, Jemison trained today, Johnny trained, and Robbie trained. So, they're all very good players. They obviously have a lot of IP in terms of how they play the game, but they make the group feel good as well. That kind of experience. They speak very well. They generally have a lot of logic to add whenever we have problems to solve. So it's been brilliant to go these 3 games unbeaten without some of those guys, and for them to come back in now hungry with a bit of a different voice and a different perspective as well. So it's brilliant.
Paul, is there an update on Garry Ringrose and how important is his fitness against that Scottish outfit?
Garry didn't train today, but from what we believe, he's going to be fine. So a few guys were looked after today. James Lowe didn't train, Stuart McCloskey didn't train, Cian Healy and Garry Ringrose didn't train. So Garry nearly played last week, but pulled out. I think it was Friday morning with his calf. So and he's very important. I mean, I suppose everyone talks about doing their role and doing their role well. Some players are able to do their own role really well and help other people do theirs really well as well. I think Garry is one of those guys. He's been in that 13 position for quite some time. It's a real specialist position where you have to get used to seeing the pictures. The more you've trained there, the more you've played there, the more mistakes you've made there, almost the better it is. And he's real quality, particularly I think his attack is excellent, but how he's been defending there has been brilliant for us as well. So he's an important cog in the way, but we've, there's a few guys have been knocking around centre for a while. There's always one of them injured, and there's always other guys have stepped in and done really well. So that's the way it's been for the last year. Guys have always stepped up and done a good job for us, and I've no doubt if Garry doesn't make it, which he should, the guys will step in and do a good job.
Well, just on James Lowe, has he picked up an issue, or is that just resting up?
No, I think his calf was sore after the game a little bit, so they just wanted to look after him this week. Given his history, he's had a few injuries, so they just wanted to look after him. That's generally a pretty tough session. That 20 session is a fast session for us, so they just wanted to look after him.
Should we play for
That's the plan at the moment, yeah.
And McCloskey, did he pick up that?
Same thing, yeah. I don't have what happened to Stuart.
Yeah, I think he just got a knockdown calf against Italy.
Yeah, but finished the game as well, so he was fine. So I don't see any problem with those 4 guys that didn't train today, but we're just trying to look after them.
And you spoke about the challenges, that it's a positive thing to look at it like, people are pulling out with injuries, that other players get the opportunity, like you said. Is there any players in particular that you've, I suppose, seen has had such a positive effect on them?
No, it's funny. I think it's a testament to the way Andy looks at things. I mean, I remember going back to the New Zealand game last autumn, 12 months when we'd a threatened COVID outbreak in the camp about 24 hours before the game started, and I was trying to figure out which hooker to ring that I thought would be able to do the line-outs without ever having thrown a line-out in any preparation, someone that hadn't been in camp, because all our hookers were going to fall down, and I was panicking, but Andy was loving it. He has a real good attitude to dealing with these issues, and I think the players have fed off that and have enjoyed the belief they get from that. We ask a lot of things of the players in terms of how they prepare, in terms of what they have to deliver in our game plan, and we put pressure on them to do it in training as much as we do in the games. And I think on the back of that, when they do get picked, they're confident. They're very confident. They take away a lot of what we do here, and they try and put it in their provinces as well. So, I wouldn't pick out any one player, but I think it's been seamless for us whenever a player is pulled out, even right up until the last game. I mean, I remember Argentina 12 months ago we ended up with Ty Byrne calling the line out, who hadn't called the line outs all week. We lost our 2 line out callers in the game, and I think it was probably one of our best line out performances. So those kind of little bits where you find out really how well people have been preparing when they've had to do the work on their own. I think that has maybe set an example that other players have followed. So whenever guys have fallen down the day before or the week of a test match, guys have been able to step up and do a really good job. And it's, it's a real testament to the environment Andy has created and to the way the players pressure each other to prepare.